with so many. So the person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That a very nice thing to do. I didn't
subsidies.
Congresswoman Greene, thank you for joining us here in the Situation Room. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start there. Let's start with the shutdown. So you voted for the short-term funding bill, but now you're talking about this health care issue. Help us better understand. Why now?
Well, actually, this is something I talked about when I first ran for Congress in 2020, because I grew up in a construction company family.
That's such a funny statement. Just like, yeah, dude, you're the daughter of a real estate developer. Okay. That's such a funny way to you make it seem like it's some blue collar thing, you know? Literally, one of your critics with his own stream and tried to inflate the dog thing has got a cat scratch on his nose. Wonder how he got that. He literally hates cats. Ask honest people who know him, lol. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Bought that company after
but I kind of understand why
my parents, and
he would hate cats if he got scratched in the face.
The Affordable Care Act.
Yes, the Affordable Care Act. Our family's health insurance premium went from $800 a month to $2,400 a month. So I've known about this as a major problem for a long time. It's not just ACA recipients whose premiums are going to skyrocket very soon. It has been a disaster for many Americans across the board. And cost of living is so high now. Many of my constituents, many of my friends, and even my own children are finding health insurance to be extremely unaffordable and something that they are having to go without. So I think this is an incredibly important issue. I think it is a crisis. I don't think it's something to wear political party team jerseys on. I think it's something that we have to address and fix.
And it's very personal for you.
Very personal. It's affected my own life. And the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010. Stop having their own practices.
I don't know what's going on, but it feels like a reverse Fetterman situation. Like, did they swap bodies or something? What happened? Her district is poor. So? Hello? She's a Republican. And even Democrats don't even give a fuck about their poor districts. They care about Israel. So the very fact that she's like all of a sudden hitting a number on like a left populist flank on healthcare and protecting healthcare subsidies is pretty crazy.
And become hospital employees. We now have to import doctors because we don't have enough. Healthcare has drastically changed, and I'm one of those that gets real tired of political drama when it's not actually solving a problem. And this is such a crisis that I'm willing to say, okay, everyone, we have to do something about this. It shouldn't be something that we dangle the American people or military pay or all of these things. We shouldn't be dangling them back and forth. We have to fix it.
What are you hearing from your constituents right now? And do you have any regrets about voting for that short-term continuing resolution, that spending bill?
Thank you for that question. Number one, I am a Republican, and I support the president. I was very vocal about I didn't want to vote for a CR. I want to pass our appropriations. That's our constitutional duty, and I want to bring that taxpayer dollars back to my district. I work hard on that, so that was important to me, but I support the president, and I voted for the CR. Number two, what am I hearing from my constituents? It's great. We track all the calls that come into my office. About 60% of the calls coming in right now are calls of support, and saying, yes, health insurance is a crisis. They're telling us stories about how they're already paying $2,000 a month with $10,000 deductibles. I'm getting phone calls from people that are saying if the ACA tax credits expire, they aren't going to be able to have health insurance. They're going to have to drop it. But I'm hearing from people on both sides, people already on the ACA and people that are already getting
as these different groups come due, we're going to make a determination. Do we want them or not? And I must tell you, a lot of them happen to be Democrat-oriented. These are people that the Democrats wanted that in many cases were not appropriate. We fought them at the time, and it was ultimately signed in. And some of these people, these are largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired. Yes, please, behind.
The Nobel Peace Prize was announced this morning. Your thoughts?
Which one?
The Nobel Peace Prize. Your thoughts?
Look, including a very big one, and I'm not sure, when you say big, it's certainly, I think, to the mind of most, the most important deal ever made in terms of peace. But the one we just signed, it's been signed, sealed, and it's going to start taking place now. It's already started. Monday's going to be a very big day when the hostages come back. But I made 8 deals, transactions of wars. One was 31 years going on. 10 million people were killed. One was 34 years. One was 36, 37. One was 10. One was just starting. 2 were just starting, actually, but they were well on their way. In the case of India and Pakistan, 7 planes were shot down. It was a bad one. And I did it largely through trade. I mean, that one, numerous of them. I talked tariffs. I said, look, if you're going to do that, we're going to put very big tariffs on your country. And they were both great. They stopped fighting, and there were 2 nuclear powers. So, they're all say, then give it to me, though. I think she might have. She was very nice. And I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So. And you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing. But Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world, the captain of the Ryder Cup. And man, I'll tell you, you did a good job. You almost came back. I turned on. I said, I sort of turned off. It wasn't looking good. And then a little while later, I turned on. I said, you guys might make, that would have been the miracle. What a great job. He's respected by those golfers like nobody. And I just want to compliment you, Keegan. That was an incredible job. Right here, we have a lot of unfriendly fake news media. And he's not used to that. He's used to getting only good publicity, I think, Howard. These are all golfers. But you're some golfer, I'll tell you that, and some leader. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Keegan.
Mr. President, on China.
Yeah, please.
On immigration, ICE are making arrests, targeted arrests at courthouses in New York City and around the country. To
Criminals, they're arresting criminals, that's right. Yeah, go ahead.
reaction to that?
I'm happy about it. I want them to arrest criminals. And if you take a look at D.C., a year ago, D.C. was our great capital was a very unsafe place. You know that. Some of you were mugged, and talk openly about it. Some of the media was mugged. But right now, D.C. is one of the safest places in the whole country. The restaurants are booming. They're opening up new restaurants. The restaurants are all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. They're opening up new restaurants. It took 12 days for us. We sent in not politically correct military. We sent them in based on merit. We won the case in the Supreme Court. Everything now is based on merit. Our country was founded on things based on merit. Like Keegan Bradley's not going to be playing golf if he wasn't a great player. If he shoots lower scores, there's no more merit system than that one, Keegan, right? If you miss a putt.
Yeah, the military is just like golfing, based on merit. Trump's ridiculous. Trump's utterly ridiculous decisions to deploy the military on domestic soil is totally not meritless. Definitely good reasons for this. The frogmen in Portland. Also, you cheat in golf, so it's pretty funny that he's just like talking about the merit of the golf.
They can't even believe how much better it is. And it'll take probably a month over there, and we're heading to Chicago because we want to save Chicago. Do you know they had over 4,000 people killed in Chicago over a short...
Also, look at this incredibly merit-based...
Like by saying Mexico City or by saying anywhere in Afghanistan. There's no place like that. And then I have to listen to the mayor who's got a 5% approval rate, maybe less. He's an incompetent man. And the governor's an incompetent guy. He's a guy that was thrown out of his family business like a dog. And I know his family very well. And now he's a governor. And when I watch him trying to say that it's okay, we have crime under control, I lost 4,000 people over a very short period of time. I believe it's like 7,000 people were shot but didn't die. But 4,000 people died. And then he gets up and talks about how it's not a problem. Or Portland, Oregon. I mean, every time I look at that place, the place is burning down. There's fires all over the place. When a store owner, there are very few of them left, but when a store owner rebuilds a store, they build it out of plywood, and they don't put up storefronts anymore. They just put wood up because they know it's going to be ripped down. And then I hear how wonderful it is. It's not wonderful. It's a disaster. That's almost an insurrection, that place. So we put our people in there, and they do the job, and they've really done the job. And the beautiful thing is we've done it. 12 days we had this place safe, and now it's, I would say within a month, it was beautiful. And it continues to be. That was 3 months ago. I'll tell you, D.C. now is one of the hottest places, just like this country. We were a dead country, and you've heard me say it 100 times. We were a dead country. King of Saudi Arabia said it. Others say the Emir of Qatar said it. Many, UAE said it. The leader, great leader, UAE, all great leaders, they said effectively the same thing. 1 year ago, we had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody, and I want to, in particular, thank AstraZeneca. What a great company you have. What a company you've built. You've been there a long time and done some job. It's an honor to have you.
We like Big Pharma now? That's crazy. Don't say that in front of RFK's brainworm, dude. He's going to freak out.
I was going to say, could he make it a little bit more? Well, we have a couple of them where they're going to spend $65 billion on one plant, AI. All I know is it's, AI is based on information. I hope they're right about information. I don't know. You're going to make a lot of money there's got to be a lot of information out there, but that seems to be pretty hot. But we have a lot.
Seen the report?
We're leading the world on
AI is
information.
based on information. I hope it's good. Otherwise, it's a lot of money.
And I want to thank everybody, but in particular, Pascal, thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, press.
Thank you, press. That's cool. That gives me a lot of confidence seeing the president basically cast some doubt on what our entire economy is geared around at this moment. AI, lots of money, but also, who knows? We're spending a lot of money. I hope it's good. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Fucking awesome. I'm freaking out a little bit. Many people are saying maybe not so good. Ay, ay, ay. Yes. We're going to talk about the Nobel Peace Prize.
This is democracy.
2025 Nobel Peace Prize for anti-Maduro leader Maria Corina Machado, opposite of peace. This is Greg Grandin speaking on this to Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! This is, I guess, like the major point here is that it's a disappointment for Trump. He was very upset. And also, it's somewhat of a disappointment for a lot of ball knowers in terms of American foreign policy in general. But it's really interesting that this person got it. She is, I guess, the new oppositional figure that people are leaning on. And much like the old oppositional figure, Juan Guaido, who actually had less support than she does in Venezuela. Just like with Juan Guaido, she has made commitments to both privatization of the refineries and the natural resources that Venezuela has, some of the largest oil reserves on the planet, and also a commitment to Israel. Now, you might be wondering, as I did at the time, why the fuck was Juan Guaido talking about how committed he is to the nation state of Israel? Well, turns out that's just like one of the things that you have to sign off on if you want to become a part of the potential regime change. Guaido was her choice candidate because she couldn't run. She's worse than Guaido. Yeah, you got to kiss the ring, and you got to also take the American posture of Israel first. It's not even a joke. She wrote, okay, here, let's just get right into it. 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria. She has also said, if we win, we will move the Venezuelan embassy to Jerusalem to support Israel. This definitely is probably one of the primary concerns of the Venezuelan population, I assume. When I think of like a horrifically destabilized economy with the open and deliberate purpose of making the Venezuelan economy scream, which then led to an unprecedented amount of refugees that were escaping the chaos and the economic turmoil, which kind of destabilized the region a little bit. All of the neighboring countries received a fuck ton of Venezuelan refugees. So did the United States of America. Trump offered the Venezuelan refugees temporary protected status, only to then revoke it, which was, again, revoke it in the second term, which was, again, a fucking insane thing to do, by the way, which he is doing currently. But now the initiative is to, I guess, back this person up to the best of their ability. The timing of this Nobel Peace Prize, New York Times drops a story saying Maduro was willing to sell natural resources to the U.S., but Trump walked away. Now, I don't have a lot of confidence in Maduro's administrative capabilities. I will say it. I'm not the biggest fan of Maduro. I think he's definitely a different figure than Chavez. Having said that, I am a non-interventionist. That's my default position when it comes to the sovereignty of other nations. I think violating it is really fucked up. And we have already, the United States of America has already deliberately intervened in the affairs of Venezuela in perpetuity, and have destabilized the region quite a bit by doing so. But I guess America wants to not only do that, but do it Iraq style. And I was thinking about this quite a bit, considering the mass displacement that has already taken place. I feel like boots on the ground military warfare, but this time in Latin America, is going to have very negative reverberations, even worse than Iraq, I would say, even more costly than Iraq, I would say, especially because Iraq was far away, right? Iraq and in Afghanistan and Iraq and the refugee crisis that took place and the Syrian civil war, that actually had a lot of negative impact in both Turkey and all the other surrounding regional nations, but in Europe as well. This, but not least, the destabilizing effect that this would have is insane. What is your non-intervention line? Obviously not in this situation, but say Israel were to step up their genocide. No, I mean like non-intervention with enemies that we've designated as like foreign adversaries, unless they're just like straight up doing horrific crimes against humanity. But with Israel, we have literally led Israel. I mean, Israel had the ambition, but we just gave them the weapons to do so. So it's a little bit different than like boots on the ground military warfare, right? It's just, we can just tell Israel to fucking, stop, and they will. So in any case, The New York Times claims Maduro offered Trump access to Venezuela's oil and mineral wealth to avoid conflict, but the story relies entirely on anonymous U.S. and Venezuelan sources close to the talks and frames Trump as the one rejecting Maduro's concessions. The timing is telling. It comes amid U.S. military escalation in the Caribbean, Chevron's renewed license, and Maria Corina Machado's Nobel Prize. The narrative portrays Maduro as weak and hypocritical, willing to sell out national resources and undermining his anti-imperialist image among supporters and global South allies. This looks like a strategic information op to damage Maduro's legitimacy and box him in politically. I don't know how major of a news story that is, or what kind of shockwaves that'll have. And for people saying like Maduro has never been anti-imperialist, no, he is aesthetically postured in the exact same ways that Chavez did as well, and no, he is definitely a formative part of that bloc. So you're wrong. By definition, if you are a enemy of the American state, you automatically slot yourself into that position. So the idea that he's not like anti-imperialist is silly. He absolutely is. He has to be. It's not, like, but once again, as I've said over and over again, like, he is not, I don't know who the best leader for Venezuela would be, but I do have a similar position to many in Latin American countries and like in South American leadership have, which is that anybody but the American government. This is ironically something that took place in the aftermath of the elections, the last election cycle in Venezuela, where a lot of the pink tide bloc actually was very critical of Maduro and came out and released statements and said, hold on, this doesn't seem very appropriate what you're doing here. And then America was like, actually, you're right. Yeah, we don't actually abide by these elections. These are fucking sham. And then every single country in the South American bloc said, okay, never mind. Actually, we were wrong. Venezuela, you're good. America's reputation in South America is so bad for obvious reasons, for very good reasons, that I think its intervention will inevitably lead to a legitimization of Maduro regardless. Hello? No, you can't get on my lap. I'm sorry. No. Oh, watch out. Oh, God. You're going to rip. Also, poor Kaya. I know. She's so incredibly tormented. What is this? Weird how all these Trump streamers and anime Nazis spent 3 days pretending to care more about dog welfare than anything on earth are completely silent on this. Yeah, of course. It's not a way to disparage the enemy, the ultimate enemy of everyone. Anyway. So exhausting to listen to this dude. Listen to what? All right, let's continue. Where people that would say like, oh, that's crazy. I can't believe like, she was barred from running. Imagine a world where there is someone who is like directly, openly connected to China. Like there is no speculation here, right? Like we understand that she is working with America directly, right? For intervention in the country. Imagine a world where there was someone who was directly working with China, running for like the dynamic. Because we always look at this stuff and we say, oh, this is, she just wanted to, what do you call it? These people are simply looking for more democracy, to expand democracy. And then Maduro hates them and then will jail them or whatever. And Maduro is despotic in many ways, for sure. I would go so far as to say he is worse on like regular protesters, like regular Venezuelans, than he is on his opposition. And this was not dissimilar to the way that Chavez operated as well, where they would just like let the opposition roam free and do whatever the fuck they want, and and continue to gum up the works to the best of their ability, instead of like straight up imprisoning them, which is what is expected in a situation like this, which is what is expected of like a country that's being called like this incredibly violent dictatorship. Meanwhile, I think like the political repression of people mobilizing in Venezuela is treated worse than the opposition figureheads.
Privatized Venezuela's state oil industry. She's also praised right-wing Latin American leaders, including Argentina's Javier Milei. The Nobel Committee's selection of Machado comes at a time of heightened tension between the U.S. and Venezuela, as the U.S. continually bombs boats off the coast of Venezuela, while threatening to launch a larger military operation. On Thursday, the Venezuelan
supporter of Maduro as well, in spite of the role that they play in the region, in the Middle East. So it's another interesting element.
Amy, it's a perplexing choice on a number of levels, and it seems inevitably will bring about the opposite of peace. Machado is not a unifier, as the committee said. She represents the most intransigent face of the opposition, and not just, as you mentioned in your introduction, not just against Maduro, but against democratically elected Hugo Chavez. She was a supporter of the 2002 coup. She has constantly divided the opposition and handicapped the opposition, frankly, when the opposition was trying to come up with a more moderate position that could challenge the socialism of 21st century socialism that Chavez represented. She constantly represented a more hard line in terms of economics, in terms of U.S. disastrous choice, and a smear on your next guest is Cory Doctorow. It's really the identification of the Nobel Peace Prize. They gave it to Kissinger in the 1970s, but at least they waited till he negotiated an end to the Vietnam War. I think of Rigoberta Menchú, who won it in the early 1980s, and her whole family was wiped out by U.S. supported militarists and death squads in Guatemala, and now they've given it to somebody who's completely aligned with the most militarist and darkest face of U.S. imperialism. It's really a shocking choice.
And very quickly, negotiations with Maduro. He has been instructed to cut off all diplomatic outreach.
I don't get it. Is she good or what? No. This is. I guess it's the Nobel Peace Prize. It's entirely dependent on how much you think it's worth anything, but I think the reason why, what is this? Streamers are speaking out. I think the reason why the reason why people are skeptical of this is because they see this as like giving America more of a just cause for military intervention in Venezuela.
Will feel at not getting the Nobel Peace Prize himself, as he has very explicitly demanded. And
yeah, it's like funny because as Greg said, this is like the next best thing that they could have done for Marco Rubio. But I don't think Trump gives a shit because he really wanted it. It seems like he wanted it, and he wanted it bad. I don't think he cares that this plays a role in like America's strategic interest in dominating Venezuela. And I don't even think Trump wants it for the prestige. I think he wants it just because Obama got one. I'm saying that the situation is dire in Venezuela.
Escalating what's going on in Venezuela.
Yeah, it's just going to harden positions all around. And Machado has not denounced. She's actually endorsed the general framework for that legitimates the bombing of these go fast boats in the Caribbean. 4 of them now. Last one filled apparently with Colombians. She hasn't denounced it. She's supported it. She supports the idea, the framework that the government is basically a cartel, and to blow up these boats is not to kill Venezuelans, but to kill, as she puts it, narcotraficantes. I mean, it's really, there are plenty of feminist activists that oppose Maduro in Venezuela that would have legitimated the Peace Prize, that would have legitimated the opposition. There's Isabel Mejias, who's a feminist. She's the head of Araña Feminista, the feminist spider. There's Ana Rosa Torres, who considers herself a socialist, and she opposes the opposition and U.S. policy. That would have made sense if the committee felt that it was time for Maduro to go. But this really just actually strengthens Maduro, because it confirms his narrative about the opposition being in league with the Trump administration. So you could just imagine that this is going to, as I said, bring about the opposite of peace. It's laying the groundwork and justifying greater military escalation. It's really a disaster. It's really hard to understand how they came to this decision.
Greg Grandin, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Yale University history professor, Pulitzer Prize-winning author. His latest book, America America, A New History of the New World. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video.
Joy and relief as a ceasefire is now in effect, paving the way for the remaining hostages to be released early next week after being held by Hamas for more than 2 years. In Gaza, thousands seen heading north back to Gaza City, just moments after the ceasefire was made official. The Israeli government overnight approving the first phase of the deal with Hamas, Trump's top negotiator.
Another reason why my goat Trump deserved it. Here it is, back to back. Once again, showing that the Nobel Peace Prize, is a shambolic institution. They didn't give it to my goat. Benjamin Netanyahu, I mean, of course. Because, if you're going to give it to Donald Trump, you might as well give it to Benjamin Netanyahu, right? I mean, after all, he's the one who also signed off on the end of the genocide, right? Fuck it, give it to Jared Kushner, too. They all deserve it. CBS is back to calling it the Hamas-run health ministry. Fantastic. Here's CBS before Barry Weiss's arrival and after. Spot the difference? Accuracy is back. Hospitals and health clinics in the Gaza City are on the brink of collapse. Nearly 2 weeks into the offensive, 2 clinics have been destroyed by airstrikes, 2 hospitals shut down after being damaged, and others barely functioning, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Israel's retaliatory war in Gaza against Hamas. Well, I mean, this is like, it's accuracy now. Israel's retaliatory war in Gaza against Hamas, which the U.S. and Israel consider a terrorist organization, has killed more than 67,000 people, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health, which does not distinguish between civilian and combatant casualties. Wow, I'm glad that they really added all of those qualifiers.
Will have 72 hours to release all of the remaining hostages. That is expected early next week. And President Trump says he is heading to the region in the coming days, George.
Okay, Mary, the Nobel Peace Prize announced this morning. President Trump had been campaigning for that based on his work in the Middle East. He didn't get it.
He did not, George. Instead, the Nobel Peace Prize has gone to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Machado. The Nobel Prize Committee recognizing her for her, quote, tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and her work to achieve a peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Trump had hoped he was in the running for this, but he said yesterday, George, quote, whatever they do is fine.
Mary Bruce, thanks.
Breaking right now, Fox has told those reduction in force notices are spreading at this hour. Edward Lawrence reporting they have affected now every bureau within the Commerce Department, and an Education Department statement says their agency's also seeing the layoffs.
I feel like Israel's reputational damage is so significant that constantly saying Hamas-run health ministry probably is not going to have that same impact, which is part of the reason why I think Barry Weiss is talking about how Israel's retaliatory war in Gaza against Hamas, and that the Hamas-run health ministry, that's given me a lot of confidence, I think, in this new design we have. The Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know about the last part. That last part actually seems incredible. I don't know if she actually did that. That seems a little bit far-fetched, even by like American crony standards, because I feel like I don't think the Venezuelan population would be on board with it. She's a right-winger, but I feel kind of bad for her because of how much she has to suck up to Trump just to keep his attention on Venezuela. It's like when Zelensky had to talk about Charlie fucking Kirk at the United Nations. I think that you are making it seem as though the grand ambition here is like true freedom for the Venezuelan people. I don't agree. I think if someone is an American crony, I suspect that the grand ambition there is to abide by the wishes of empire. She praised the extrajudicial murders on both Fox and Friends and to the Times of London last month. Oh my God. I totally support a strategy, Machado told me. And I've said on behalf of the Venezuelan people that we are very grateful. I think it's the right thing to do. It's courageous. It's visionary. It's visionary to blow up boats off the coastline of Venezuela, completely violating the sovereignty of Venezuela. That's crazy. I think one of the greatest examples of the enshittification of the CIA is this. Okay? Because I feel like you should not be this open. Like, you shouldn't be this transparent with how much you're dick riding America. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, if I'm Venezuelan and I fucking hate Maduro, okay? And I hear the oppositional figure that I'm supposed to have confidence in go, America, thank you for blowing up our fucking boats off of our coastline. I'm going to say, yeah, maybe that's not the best person. And this is almost like a rehashing of Juan Guaido. The more there's like, the more people pay attention, the more people, I feel like the more people paid attention to Juan Guaido, the more his approval rating wasn't very high to begin with. Like, people said that it was, he was the true leader or whatever, but like, he spent a good deal of the constitutional timeline that he had in assuming power, just going to America and sucking up to America, which I think was a mistake. It almost betrays the notion that this is like a popular uprising, even though there is popular discontent, if that makes sense. Like, I always feel as though these guys are primarily. I always feel as though these guys are like primarily focusing on gaining as much, garnering as much attention from the American State Department and American news and American media that they like kind of lose the plot. The part that right-wing Venezuelan social media figures and publications have played in this would shock you. No, it doesn't shock me at all. The Venezuelan media has almost always been fucking completely captive, servile to the interests of the grocery store franchise owners, like all the fucking billionaires in the Chamber of Commerce. They've dominated media, so it's not surprising to me that they would also have a stranglehold on social media as well. She's been a main driver of the VE polarization both nationally and within the opposition. Hardline, uncompromising, unwilling to negotiate it or support a soft socialist opposition has led her to depend on U.S. to prop up her power. Now, with assist from Nobel, one step closer to war, says Greg Grandin. Anyway, let's tune into Democracy Now! To get a little bit more insight.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. The Norwegian Nobel Committee announced today the recipient of the 2025
I feel fucking
Nobel
bad,
Peace
dude.
Prize.
I just we have played very clearly moving forward with direct intervention beyond the sanctions regime, beyond crippling the Venezuelan economy, beyond other forms of interference. And it feels as though this is the next step in the plan. And it feels, it looks terrible. The outlook is grim.
The Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 goes to a brave and committed champion of peace, to a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amidst a growing darkness. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado. She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela, and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Maria Corina Machado meets all the three criteria stated in Alfred Nobel's will for the selection of a peace prize. She has brought her country's opposition together. She has never wavered in resisting the militarization of Venezuelan society. She has been steadfast in her support for a peaceful transition to democracy.
Maria Corina Machado is a longtime U.S. ally nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize last year by a number of Florida Republicans, including then-Senator Marco Rubio, who's now President Trump's Secretary of State. In 2002, Machado supported the coup that briefly overthrew Venezuela's democratically elected president, Hugo Chavez. Machado attempted to run for president against incumbent Nicolas Maduro in the 2024 race, but was barred from running after the government accused her of corruption and cited her support for U.S. sanctions against Venezuela. Edmundo Gonzalez ran in her place. Venezuela's National Electoral Council declared Maduro the winner, but the opposition claimed Gonzalez won. Machado has vowed to...
I want to mention something here, by the way, for people that would say, nobody ever thought they would want their family members to be returned. Very shocking. It surprised me, I'll tell you what. They really wanted their immediate family members to return.
A lot of things are happening.
Months ago, Trump said the Palestinians would have to leave Gaza. His 20-point plan outlined a different approach, saying we will encourage people to stay. I asked him if that still holds.
Can you confirm that as Gaza is rebuilt, that no one will be forced to leave?
Yeah, nobody's going to be forced to leave. No, it's just the opposite.
In Gaza, hope, but also uncertain.
Off notices. All of this is happening as the government shutdown extends into day 10 now.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Read previous message for Abu Shabab update, Pack Watch. Palestinian resistance members have been launching coordinated attacks against the Israeli-backed militias in the Gaza Strip throughout the entirety of the day. The groups who agreed to work alongside Israel to attack dense areas in the Gaza Strip, leading to countless massacres, have now been abandoned by the occupation inside the Gaza Strip without air protection that was once provided to them before the ceasefire, where they once celebrated the massacres of defenseless women, children, and men. Their turn has now begun to receive the same treatment. Abu Shabab, Pack Watch. God damn. I don't know why they thought that Israel would actually fucking defend them. It is pretty funny that Israel straight up said, yeah, we're out, big dog. You're on your own. Like literally, hey, thank you for stealing all of the fucking humanitarian aid in exactly the ways that we wanted you to, and trying to recruit people to your cause by floating said humanitarian aid. But we're done with you. The Trump admin in a court filing says 7 agencies began RIFs today. Commerce, Education, Energy, HHS, HUD, DHS, Treasury. Holy shit. It's surprising.
Weather is not the only problem for travelers this weekend. The 10-day-old government shutdown could also hit holiday flyers. What's the holiday? You say Monday, by the way, is Columbus Day. The air traffic control system is grappling with an increase in sick-outs, and one top Trump administration official is now threatening to take action to stop all of that. Chris Van Cleve is at the LAX airport. That's in Los Angeles. Chris, good morning to you. What's the latest there?
I'm glad he went there.
Well, good morning. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy raised some eyebrows when he said air traffic controllers found to be taking advantage of the FAA's sick leave policy could find themselves in trouble. In fact, they could find themselves out of a job. That said, we are continuing to see spotty staffing issues at air traffic control facilities.
At a time of unprecedented staffing issues, what you should do is threaten the fucking existing workforce with no way of replacing them, okay? That seems really smart, dude. That's a great job, guys. Keep up the great work, okay? That's awesome. They literally do not have... This is a lie, okay? I need you to understand something. This is just them flexing, but they straight up do not have the capacity to do this, okay? They don't have the capacity to do this because the way ATC works, you actually need to train. There's already understaffing issues everywhere, okay? There's already a significant problem with understaffing for air traffic control in, I think, like 90% of towers in the country, okay? But also on top of that, because the government is currently shut down, there is no additional ATC training taking place. The process is already costly, it's long, and currently it's on a pause. So even if they were to turn around and be like, oh, dude, fuck you, we'll fire you permanently if you choose to do a sick out. The irony is they have no way of replacing these guys, which would, which ironically undermines the reason as to why they don't want anybody to fucking call out of work anyway.
Across the country. We saw it again yesterday. Delays and cancellations, however, remain low, even though those air traffic control sick calls are up. The union representing controllers tells CBS News there are processes and procedures in place to deal with the inappropriate use of sick leave. Wednesday, Southwest Airlines executives warned in an internal memo, while they've seen a few manageable delays and cancellations related to the shortages, they're concerned operational reliability due to the government funding situation and its influence on controller staffing are dynamic and could change rapidly at any ATC facility. Secretary Duffy says airline delays due to FAA staffing issues have soared during the shutdown from about 5% on average to as much as 50% of the total delays at points this week. Bottom line, though, most flights are leaving on time or close to it. The vast majority of controllers are still on the job. What this is doing, though, is really injecting uncertainty into everyone's travels at a time when the weather is already doing that on a busy holiday weekend. Back to you guys.
Chris, thank you very much.
With no end to this government shutdown in sight, many Americans on edge. Near Fort Hood, Texas, military families lining up for hours outside a food pantry. And on live television, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson confronted by one woman who said
Communism. You see that? Bread lines. Communist bread lines. Classic.
she's a military spouse from Virginia.
I have 2 medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country.
She told Johnson she is outraged she won't bring the House back into session to pass emergency funding to pay the troops.
As a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show.
Oh, Joe Brandon. Can you believe it? Somehow this is Kamala Biden's fault. I know it.
Begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military's getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families.
Also, I don't know if they'll show the entire response that he had, but he just lies. He lies entirely. He just lies through his teeth. Straight up is just like, oh, it's the Democrats. Oh, we want to do it. We just don't have the power to. It's like, yeah, no, you do. Oh, Chuck Schumer would never actually pass like a simple funding bill for the military. Really? I mean, if that's the case, why don't you just bring Congress back into session and then put the ball in Chuck Schumer's hands and put forth a clean, actually clean, straightforward funding bill just for these, just for the military or just for whoever needs funding in this current shutdown while the negotiations continue. Gonna shock your dog again soon or not? I'm here for the dog content. That's so strange. It's a very strange thing. Unfortunately, you've come to the wrong stream for that, but very, very odd thing to say you want to watch. Why do you take everything people say so seriously? Autism. But also, because I feel like that's how I've chosen to run my streams, where I try to have like back and forth discourse, which oftentimes can be a mistake. But I'm just so used to treating people as though they were like approaching me in the real world that even when someone is doing it with a very obvious, insincere purpose, I still treat them with dignity that they probably don't even deserve, if we're being real. He only reads negative comments if you tell him he's great and inspiration crickets. No, that's not true.
Families is insane.
But Johnson is refusing to bring a military funding bill to the floor, drawing criticism from
Democrats. It's because I was circumcised
Chuck
and
Schumer
given
and the
Tylenol
Democrats
as
are
a
preventing
baby.
your family from getting the care they need, not Republicans, and my heart goes out to you.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries saying he would support a bill to pay the troops.
So would you support a standalone bill for military members?
Yes, and what House Republicans need to do is come back so we can address the military pay issue and reopen the government.
And this morning, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy really trying to increase the pressure on air traffic controllers, many of whom started calling out sick to work this week, leading to travel delays, staffing shortages at airports. He's now threatening to fire them if they do not show up to work. They are considered essential workers, supposed to work without pay during this government shutdown. Meanwhile, the lawmakers that left Capitol Hill, they are still getting their paychecks, George.
Rachel Scott, thanks very much.